what I want to do today, and this is treating patients who have contracted a Taeyang invasion and recovery from. So there's going to be two parts to it. Sorry, can I also okay, I'll come back to that after the questions that were there, just so I can continue. So treating patients at the moment. If you do have a patient who is showing signs of any Taeyang invasion, Taeyang being this viral type of external influence with high fever, headaches, you know the whole deal. At the moment, we shouldn't be treating them in the clinic. So this would be either you send them to the hospital, you send them to the doctor. However, if you do have family members or yourself that you're treating at home, this would be the treatment that we could do. Okay, so it's very important to remember that this is not a clinical setting at the moment because of our current situation. So the idea here is we saw that we did for the prevention of the Tai Yin Yang Ming. Now, if we are actually in a situation where we're at a Taeyang level attack, we would be treating Tai Yin Taeyang. So so you can see at the indications, our fever, aversion to cold, stiff neck, aches in the body, sweating, shortness of breath. That is a perfect definition of how the viral infections affect the body at the moment. So the Tai Yin Tai Yang, so we're going to be using the same yin meridian. So we're going to be using the lung and the spleen because that's our Wei Qi, that's our defensive mechanism. But then we're going to push it out to the most external aspect of relationship with yin meridians, with yang meridians. Not the functions. We said the functions was Yang Ming, but the meridian itself is bladder and small intestine. Now, why is it bladder and small intestine? Because Taeyang, Tai means the most amount of sunlight on a Yang channel. So Taeyang is the one that is the most related to the influence of the sun, which is the influence of the external part of the body of a meridian. So what we're doing is we're taking the lower level of yin and the lower level of yang, and we're pushing out to allow the body to let go and to open up to send the pervasive energy, the pervasive qi outwards. So again, we have this yin-yang aspect of we have lung, small intestine, spleen, and bladder. And if we look at the bagwas, which we're not going to go into too much today, we'll see that we're going to get the first and the fourth points that are going to come out. So we would be using lung 11 and lung 8, small intestine 1 and small intestine 4, spleen 1 and spleen 4, and bladder 67 and bladder 64. So we have these 8 patterns. Now there's some meridian interactions involved in this pattern. So lung interacts with bladder through midday, midnight, and it also does it through what we call exposure to sunlight, Tai Yin, Taeyang. Now lung also involves with spleen, we saw before, because they're both part of Tai Yin, that's system 2. Now small intestine interacts with bladder, system 2, Taeyang, large meridians. And small intestine interacts with spleen, exposure to sunlight, system 6, Tai Yin, Taeyang. So the yin meridian with the most amount of sunlight on the leg interacts with the yang meridian with the most amount of sunlight on the arm. That's how we get this pattern here of this figure 8, this type of truss. So it's a 1-4 pattern. We're using the first and the fourth points on the lung, small intestine, spleen, and bladder. And this is a really good treatment. I've used it on myself when I get if I get a flu. This is one of the first things I do, and often it helps to go away much quicker. So yeah, this is an emergency protocol. You can use it for these types of problems. However, if somebody is coming out of an illness such as this, so this can be for yourself, for family members, it can also be maybe for your patients after they've gone through and they're no longer, let's say, have any symptoms, and we know that they're not contagious anymore, but they're still having that problem of bringing up that last bit of energy. We do a treatment called Shaoyin Taeyang. So this is also useful after a viral infection has passed to realign the kidney and heart communication because we have the Xiao Yin, so we have the heart and the kidneys. We're realigning fire and water. We're treating the whole dorsal part of the back, which is also where a lot of that tension and weakness comes up for the body. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of reasons why this helps to reanimate the body after going through a prolonged viral attack. So our meridians are the Xiao Yin, so the heart and the kidney, and the Taeyang, so the small intestine and the bladder. The pattern that comes out from after doing the interactions is this, what we call a 3-6 pattern. So it's similar to what we saw with the Tai Yin Yong Ming, where it's going to be the third point, so heart 7 and small intestine 3, kidney 3, and bladder 65. When we say third point, we're talking from going distally to proximally, the third point. So the most distal point is the first point, the second most distal point is the second point, and then the third most distal point is the third point. So that would be these 3 points, heart 7, small intestine 3, kidney 3, and bladder 65. That's what the 3 represents. And when we see a 6 as the second point, it's referring to the Husi point. So heart 3, small intestine 3, kidney 10, and bladder 40. So this is a good treatment to help realign the body after this period has happened. It helps almost like do a full reset and say, okay, now we've gone through this, now we're back to functioning. And that you can see really well here on this. So normally we have 4 different possibilities when we're talking about viral infections in the I Ching. So the first, and here you can see we have the 3 levels of yin and the 3 levels of yang. So the first one we looked at was Tai Yin to Yong Ming. So this was when we were dealing with the Wei Qi. Okay, so we were looking at cold attacks, ENT, breathing, digestion, and also, as we said, when we have this possibility that we need to build up the Wei Qi in the body. Then we looked and we saw that we had the upper level of Yang interacting with the upper level of Yin, so that's Taeyang. So here, this is when the person actually has a viral flu or Taeyang stage external attack. I use the word flu here, but we know it can be for any type of viral, any type of virus, etc. And then afterwards, we have the Shaoyin Taeyang, which is how to realign after. So we're going from the bottom level of Yin to the top level of Yang. I'm not going to talk about Zhui and Yongming because it's not really in what the scope of what we were doing today. But there is also this idea that we can do the same type of interaction with Wei Yin, Yongming. So that is everything that I wanted to share with you today. We spent a lot of time on the emotions. I'm just going to go quickly now and see if there are any questions here. So can it also be taking the problems of the world on the shoulders instead of anger? It could be, but I would take a more who was it who said that? Was Marga. I would look more at the emotion of why the person is taking it on their shoulders and what's happening for them than associating the idea of taking the world on your shoulders as excess anger. That could also be excess sadness that they're not allowing themselves, or it could be deficient sadness. It could be many different things. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's it can be, but it's not necessarily that. How often do you treat yourself if this one or two times a day? I hope that I assume that you're talking about the last 2 treatments. If you're going through a viral infection, you could be treating yourself 2-3 times a day. Afterwards, I would do the last treatment 1 time a day. And then Caroline asked, do you do all 8 points? Yes, you do all 8 points. So the sequencing of the points is not so important, but I missed the needling sequence for Shaoyin Taeyang. There is no specific sequence, it's just the points. So the points are heart 3 and heart 7, small intestine 3, small intestine 8, bladder 40, bladder 65, kidney 10, and kidney 3. Okay, so then there's just a question. So in I Ching Bagua approach, you mentioned that patients could massage the channels. Would it be on the path of the Shu from Jing Well to Shu River? Yes, I think that I wouldn't be too specific with the patient. I would just say massage the points in the direction of the meridian itself. So if it is a yang meridian of the arm, I'm not going to go through all the directions, but if it's a yang meridian of the arm, you go towards the arm. If it's a yin meridian of the arm, you go away, and the opposite on the leg. I would probably say that is the best. Okay. So there's a couple of other things I just wanted to mention as we're finishing up here. So as I said, I've been working inside and trying to figure out how I want to do things. So one of the things that came up talking with Bijan about how we can move forward is I don't really think it's a time for us to bring in a lot new information. However, there is a possibility to consolidate what we have. So we're going to be it's going to be up on the website, and we're going to be sending people an email, is if you have already done a course with me, we're going to set up what we call study groups. And these study groups are where we have a group, as many people who want to join in. We're making it quite reasonable. I think it's about the equivalent of 20 euros a session for the whole session. We're going to start with the foundations group, and we're going to do 6 different modules where we meet twice a week. As we all have time now, we're going to sit down. It's going to be limited in time, not like today where it's almost been 2 hours. We're going to be limited in time where we're actually looking at one module. We're going to present it. I'll talk about it, and then we're going to talk about it. It's going to be more a collaborative approach. And we're going to do that first for the foundations course. So it's for people who have done the foundations course with me live. If you have done it online, that's also okay. But it's only for people who have done the course. You'll be receiving an email from me if you've done it live with me, and you can sign up for that. That's one of the ways that we're thinking about how we can help people. There's also the possibility that we will do another webinar in a couple of weeks. We're not making too many promises now. We're seeing how it goes along. So the next thing we're going to set up is the study groups. It will be on the website, and you'll also get an email with it if we have your email in our database and you've done the course with us. So there was some other questions that are coming up that I'll answer quickly here. So for the Qigong group, I'm going to post the information again, as I think somebody just did, sent to everyone. Okay, so this was from Anthony. Yeah, so sorry, not from Anthony. So yes, here you have Anthony's group. You have to take care of the 6 at the end. He's a wonderful practitioner. He was here today. That's a great resource for you. Also, as you can see, Healthy Seminars, they are doing a lot of great online stuff too. They're having 25% off everything on the site until this is over, they told me. And they're also doing some other interesting stuff. So that's some of the things I wanted to mention. We will be sending you an email with a link to download the PDF of what we've been sharing today. The recording will be made available for a little while. And if you have any other questions, anything else, write to us. You can write to us on Facebook. You can send us an email at contact@uat.training. And the whole idea here is that we work on our community to strengthen our community. So as we come out of this, we are better, we're ready to really help our patients as much as possible. And that's really what we're looking for here. So I'm hoping that this was helpful for you. If there's anything else, I'd be very happy to help you. Unless there are any other questions, and a lot of people have been thanking thanking me, and I want to thank you all too. There's one question here. Sorry for clarification, but Tai, Yin, Yang, Ming, all dispersed. I'm just going to go quickly back to this aspect of it. When we go into these types of patterns, remember that there's no dispersion or tonification. It's just putting in the needle. whenever you see these types of patterns with these 8 points, you're not thinking about tonification or dispersion. Tonification and dispersion, in my approach, is only important when we're using the 4-needle Saam approach. Okay? So can you tonify pericardium and Sanjiao together at the same time? That goes into the full 4-needle 5-element approach, and we can talk about, there's courses for that. I'm not really going to go into that now because that's a whole other conversation that I can talk about for hours. Okay, so just thank you, Evelyn. I'm happy that you enjoyed it. Thank you, Eileen and Mary. I'm very glad that you found it useful, and the explanation was very good. Thank you, Rianne. Yes, thank you, everybody, and also for you all to stay safe. So we're going to stop the room now, okay? And you'll be getting emails from us with everything very soon, and we look forward to hearing from you. And so thank you very much, and great. We'll all talk soon. Okay.